Hello, cold and very misty morning here on Manitoulin Island. Today I want to talk to you about the raw food diet. There's such a controversy about this. Um, I've been feeding raw for a long, long time, and I should tell you the story why I feed raw. And this is uh, a long time ago when my children were small. My eldest child had what I now know is attention deficit order, hyperactivity attention deficit. But back then, 40 years ago, he was just a wild thing when he was little, and I didn't know what to do, and I was taking him to the doctor because he wasn't sleeping, and he had all this, and he was angry all the time. Sort of thing he would do, you'd be sitting reading a story for him, and he'd get up and then kick you in the shins for no reason at all. Just not normal. So when I took him to the doctor gave me Valium because I was an hysterical mother. And I knew it wasn't me, it was him. Anyway, when we came to a trip to see his grandma, and of course grandma gave him all sorts of goodies and things, and his behavior was even worse. So my mother, his grandma, had retreated into the bathroom, and she'd taken a magazine with her, and when she came out she said, "Look at this article in the magazine." This article was written by a man in California who said that children's behavior can be affected by food. And he described the behavior, and the behavior was very much like my son. One of the things my son didn't do was sleep. He slept probably 3 to 4 hours in every 24. This is from a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 3-year-old at the time, I think. And it was just terrible, just terrible. I was a zombie because I wasn't getting any sleep either. And I had another child as well. Anyway, so she saw that we thought we'd try it, and so she went down to the freezer and she threw out all the popsicles and the ice cream and anything that was not on this list, and we started feeding him true food, like just salads and fruit and things like this, and plain white rice. And plain chicken and things like that. Anyway, the diet was in the thing. It wasn't very difficult. It was quite a plain diet. And after feeding him for 3 days, on the third night, we put him to bed about 11 o'clock, and instead of waking up about 2 or 3, he slept through until like 8 o'clock the next morning. I was astonished, absolutely astonished. And so that was it. I mean, he's on the diet because I thought I got to have some sleep. So for all their life, when I used to make him his own food. I used to make all their own food, and I started reading labels and not having anything with high sugar. Or one of the things that used to set him off was artificial coloring. So everything that had artificial coloring we didn't have, and all that sort of stuff. And he became quite the nice little boy. And, he would, I could sit and read to him and tell him stories and stuff. And he didn't get up and kick me in the shins anymore, which was a blessing. Anyway, fast forward. And of course, we got a dog. And the dog would eat our scraps, which were healthy scraps. A little bit of dog food, but not very much. And but mostly our scraps. So the dog was healthy too. So fast forward, and the dog is older, and the boys were grown up, and they were left home, and I was left with the dog. So this diet, of course, is quite intensive. So I went back to buying dog food for the dog. So all of a sudden the dog started to smell doggy, and his teeth started to all go black, with tartar and stuff. And He's getting a bit of arthritis, and I thought, what the heck's the matter with the dog? All of a sudden, then it suddenly dawned on me. Someone gave me a book called "Give Your Dog a Bone" by Ian Billinghurst, and it changed my life and his life. The premise is that dogs don't do well on processed food with lots of grain. They don't eat grain in the wild, and it's not a biologically appropriate diet for them. In the wild, they would eat fruit and vegetables and meat, where they kill their own food and eat the whole animal. And they would eat the raw bones. So guess what? We changed the dog's diet, like we changed my children's diet. And we had a dog that had a healthy coat. His arthritis went away. All his teeth started to get nice and clean again. And he lived for a long time. So that made me... so after that, all the dogs that I ever had were fed raw. Now, I'm just trying to think. I mean, it's a good 30 years ago. And since then, I've had a lot of dogs. And I understand that, 1 in 3 dogs has cancer. Well, of the 10 dogs that I've had, not one has had cancer. Not one has gone blind. Not one has gone deaf. They got a bit hard of hearing, but somehow they could always hear a package opening. Anyway, and they were, healthy right into the end, and they all died of healthy old age, 16, 17, and I have usually fairly large dogs, medium size, border collies and border collie crosses, and I've had a basset hound and various different kinds of dogs. So I am a firm believer in giving the dog an appropriate diet. And they can handle a little bit of grain, but not very much. And the dog foods, even the grain-frees, they're all processed, and the heat kills most of the stuff when you heat food. So raw food is the best for us too.